Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Wednesday, July 29th, and I'm Blair Kerkhoff. Today, we're going to talk about the ownership group of the Kansas City Royals. Specifically, Star columnist Vahe Gregorian and I will focus on the newest member of that group, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Yes, the news was revealed on Tuesday that Mahomes had joined the group that approaches 25 and is headed by John Sherman. What does this mean for Mahomes and the Royals? Well, for one thing, we know he's the youngest part owner of a team in baseball history, but what about the long term? Vahe and I get into that on today's show. After a break, you'll hear from Chiefs rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who met with the media late last week. The team's first-round draft pick talks about arriving at the facility and how he's navigated the strangest offseason in history. But first, here's Vahe Gregorian on the newest Royals investor. So we were recording yesterday's podcast. And this happens so often. You're recording a podcast in the late morning and sometime in the early afternoon news breaks, and you wish, oh man, if we just waited a little while. But sometimes you get lucky, news breaks in the morning, and you do get to capture it. But so it's a little late, a day late, but not a dollar short. Ha ha ha.
You've been waiting to use that one all your life.
Of course, we're talking about the new partner for the Kansas City Royals, part of the new ownership or the ownership group, Patrick Mahomes. You know, Vahe, if you had given me like a multiple choice question about things Patrick Mahomes would do with his newfound wealth, the new contract that he signed, and one of those options was to become a minority owner in the Kansas City Royals, I would have checked that one immediately. Just knowing him and knowing part of the, wanting to be part of the community. But anyway, when we saw the release from I believe it was the Royals that released it yesterday, it just put a smile on my face.
Same here, exact same feeling, like a little head shake smile, like, oh Patrick, that's so Patrick. Sort of like that though, right? I mean, and you're making me think of this. We had no shortage of Patrick in Royals jerseys to display.
That's something.
Royals jacket, Royals jersey, first pitch, big slick.
Yes, but it's our duty as writers to find photos for stories that we publish, and so we have a little photo area that we pick out photos. There's a ton of them with Patrick wearing his his Royals jersey. He's got the blue, he's got the white.
Doesn't quite have the throwbacks on, but I'm sure he'll have his supply of that. Go in that little luxury closet of his.
But for a guy who has been in town since 2017, is 24 years old, he has. I don't know what more he can do to ingratiate himself into a community.
I don't either. And what's funny is we actually could have said that in 2017 and 2018 before he became a phenomenon. And you were right on it. I remember this, whether it was 17 or 18. You were writing stories. I think you collaborated with Pete Gradoff on something, but like there was a trend going on. There was the jorts at the Speedway. There was, reading Dr. Seuss.
Going to a T-Bones game.
Going to a T-Bones game. Going to the Speedway in T-Bones jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are little, just part of the fabric of everything. And it's sort of an everyman quality to a guy who was unlike anybody.
And he wasn't doing, and I don't get the sense he was doing it because he was told to do it, or it would be good PR for him to do it. He wanted to be there. He actually wanted to be there every bit as much as he wanted to be at the Final Four, to cheer on Texas Tech and to be at the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
To cheer on St. Louis Blues.
I think it's exactly in the same sort of family of thought, if that's a way to put it. I mean, that was the micro scale here. That's where he's living. He's getting set here, but he likes to go to things. I remember during some of this, we were half joking with him about whether he'd go to the World Cup, and it just didn't quite fit with the Chiefs schedule. but that I think he might have. I mean, his longtime companion, girlfriend, Brittany, has had quite a soccer past, and
right.
And so yeah, and I think you make an important point though. I'm sure somewhere along the line Patrick learned, or what's that expression? More flies with honey than vinegar. but I think it's pretty innate too. And I think he's got a curiosity about things. He likes to be at events. I don't really know that he likes to be in the spotlight exactly that way. I don't think he minds the spotlight, but it's not like I don't think he was doing that for attention, which I think circles back to your point. I think he just did it because he likes to do it.
Yeah, and you get a sense he's been a sports fan his whole life. Of course, he grew up in the figuratively grew up in the baseball clubhouse, but was around sports, so he had a love of it. And I just think he, over the last few years, with the career that he's had, what he's carved out for himself, he has opportunities to be the fan that a lot of people would love to be. To have a contract with a private plane company and be able to zip over to St. Louis or to Minneapolis or wherever a big sporting event is,
Yeah.
and be part of that. I remember just a small thing. It was so interesting that 2 years ago, the 2018 season, when the Chiefs were supposed to play in Mexico City, but the game, because of the turf, was postponed there. It was moved to L.A., right? So they played that great Monday night game in the L.A. Coliseum that night. He throws 6 touchdown passes and almost 500 yards. The next night, he's in Sprint Center watching Texas Tech play in the championship game of the CBE tournament. And cheering him on from a front row seat. Him and Brittany were there. So I just, he does this because he wants to do it.
Yeah. And we've kind of joked, I think I used this in a previous thing about that, sort of he's a, where's Waldo, at any given time, you just, you can't even know where he's going to be, but it does sort of reflect just zeal for life in a way, right? And he's obviously immersed in the sports world in a way that, few would have the opportunity to with his means and access points. And, it is kind of interesting, though. You started the podcast with this point. I mean, he did recently come into some money, so
a little bit.
So,
yeah, a little bit of money.
I don't exactly know. We don't know what the buy-in is. We don't know what a percentage this is. I mean, is it nominal? Is it But it's fun to kind of think of him as like the boss of these guys now, right? Like, he's going to put himself in the lineup, or what could he do? I wouldn't be surprised if he gets. Can you imagine him? Think about this though. I mean, we're being a little playful here, but let's say it does come to a downtown ballpark campaign. Maybe there's some. Presumably, there's going to need to be some level of private funding, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes making an appeal to get involved. You think that won't?
I think he can.
The campaign
I think he can be very influential with his presence and his wallet.
Yeah, I mean, he puts down a little down payment. I'll match anything up to. I mean, we're just making up these scenarios,
right.
But that could be a good way to get to Mahomes Stadium. At Kauffman Stadium at Mahomes Field, or whatever it is.
Well, I was wondering too, what kind of part owner he would be. Would he be just the guy who took tickets and got a good seat or a suite, or would he try to be, would he have a voice in this thing? Might we hear this type of voice from Mahomes? Oh, the best laid plans. I had something all queued up for us here, Vahe, and it did not.
I'm right here.
It did not happen. Let's see if it can happen here. All right, let's see what we got.
Might we hear?
Not going to happen. I think it's because we got the microphone going here, but it was from the Super Bowl, and Mahomes being very enthusiastic. Maybe I'll find it and play it at the end. We are going to play Mike Matheny's comments. He was asked about this in the pregame yesterday before the Royals lost to Detroit, and the point I wanted to make about Mahomes being an active owner is maybe he could have a little confab with Aldaberto Mondesi, who, in the ninth inning last night, infield pop-up dropped to the ground, surprised everybody, including Mondesi, who didn't run out the pop-up. He got to first, but then got thrown out trying to scramble back to the base. The type of play that I would hope that a champion like Mahomes would find unacceptable.
Well, listen, you bring up you remind me of an interesting point. I don't know if you recall this. I think we wrote about it, but it might have just been in a conversation with Dayton Moore, the Royals general manager. After Patrick's first full season of starting, the 2018 season that ended with the loss to the Patriots in overtime, the Royals getting ready for spring training, Dayton, I don't want to say called in Aldaberto Mondesi and spoke with him and pointed to Patrick Mahomes as the model he should be looking to be. That he has every bit of the baseball capacity that Patrick has in football. I think we may have written about it. Maybe Sam Mellinger wrote about it. Maybe one of us did. I'd have to look back.
Yeah, if so, I'll find it, put it in the show notes.
But I specifically remember Dayton talking about it in his office one day when I was talking to him about it. That's interesting now. I mean that sort of potential for some engagement there in a different way. And this is, we don't know anything about. We haven't talked to Patrick about it yet. We certainly don't know the parameters, but it does get your mind running, at least my mind running a little bit on what the long-term implication of this is. Patrick's about 25 years old yet. He's got an ownership stake in the Kansas City Royals. Seems to want to be a part of Kansas City going forward. Is Patrick potentially in the running to be a majority owner someday of the Royals?
I wonder. I think he would certainly be in a financial position to do that, and we know that has occurred in sports. That there are examples of former athletes as majority owners. I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but Derek Jeter owns a big part of the Miami Marlins, and Magic Johnson was certainly owned a big share of the Lakers at one point, and now he was in on the Dodgers ownership group, a big part of the Dodgers, and LA Sparks, the WNBA. I did a little sidebar on that yesterday. There are a ton of pro athletes. Mario Lemieux is the principal owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the only player in hockey history to have his name on a Stanley Cup as a player and an owner. It happens in sports. It just doesn't happen at 24.
It doesn't happen at 24, right? And so it may be just for lack of a better term, a whimsical thing that has nothing to do with anything, right? I mean, it's just like, oh, I have a chance to be part of this, and maybe I can be part of something constructive that, in this changing time, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I have any idea. Maybe you do, but I don't have any idea what to expect of 45-year-old Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he could probably just be Patrick Mahomes by then. I think that will probably be, ample.
Yes.
Just live the life of who that is.
Right.
But it may also be, I think we see this in all kinds of different avenues in life. Somebody who is such an achiever, always with a cause, right? Always with a purpose, working, striving, obsessive probably. Do you just get off the carousel and now you don't do anything? So
you don't see that for someone like him, do you?
No, you don't. You don't really, right?
I mean, I can envision him. Of course, we left out Michael Jordan earlier with the ownership group, but I can see him being more interested in team. I kind of always thought of him that way with the Chiefs.
Well, look, that's what you really wonder here too. What's the, I don't know what the Chiefs' long-term succession plan would be with ownership, and I mean, we've sort of speculated about this. I wish I knew the ins and outs of this better than I do, so I'll walk gingerly here. But there was some speculation, wasn't there, that perhaps part of Patrick's compensation might, if it's allowable, right, is some
kind of stake,
ownership stake.
Yeah, stake in the team.
That didn't happen, as far as we know, or it hasn't yet, or whatever. But I mean, could this be a form of apprenticeship towards understanding the ins and outs of that in the future? I mean, we're just making this up. I am just making it up. I don't know. It's all speculative, but it begs speculation. Actually, what does it mean? Well,
it strikes me as a kind of an appropriate first step if there is a step ladder process to greater role in ownership of a team.
Yeah.
The other ones are coming to mind now. Wayne Gretzky and
all these so many, right?
And we're talking about people who could afford to buy into teams.
Right.
Standing at the top. You mentioned soccer a little while ago. There was one of the tweet responses to this news yesterday was a player in the women's professional soccer league who was saying, "Okay, now come on into our league and help fund that," because it's James Harden, the great shooter for the Houston Rockets, has bought a stake in the Houston Dynamo and the Houston Dash, which is the women's professional soccer team there. So would seem to be ample opportunity for Mahomes to branch out if he wants to in other sports. So
it would be really interesting to sit in on a meeting with the Mahomes Brain Trust, and we know about his representation, but I don't exactly know how that extends into his financial advising. I mean, I assume he's got a vast team of resources that work on this, and that he's a smart enough. Shrewd has an almost negative connotation. I don't mean it negative, I think, but I mean it. Absolutely, he's going to be responsible with what he's the big picture, long term notion of how he's going to spend this money, right? How much is going to be saved, how much is going to be invested, how much he can just play with, whatever. But it would be really interesting to, we'll never be there, but to be in that room for just a notion of the types of discussions they're having. Like, all right, what are we doing with this?
Right. I know.
How much good can we do for others? How much good can we do for ourselves? However you want to think of that quotient. Just how many generations does he need to take care of his family? I don't know what the way at that would ever be, other than having a GoPro on his forehead and hoping they just.
I'll tell you,
it's there.
A day in the life of Patrick Mahomes would be fascinating any day.
It's funny. There was actually a day, maybe it was in the fall of 2018, where I think I was like, hey, can we just do it? Try to get with the Chiefs. Can I just do a day with Patrick? It doesn't have to be a special day. It's like, hey, we know the Chiefs tend to swat away things like this anyway. But at this point, it's like you wouldn't. Alas, we wouldn't even ask because it just
no.
unattainable.
Well, 3 years in Kansas City, it's been an incredible time for him, for the city, and if you ever kind of wondered about the definition of a transformational athlete, or he is that.
You can speak to this way better than I can, and I guess it is. Let's just frame it within the world of sports, but. Do you have a sense of a changed sports fans' self-esteem in the Kansas City area now because of what the Chiefs have done, but really because of what Patrick's? I mean, is there some aspect of that?
I absolutely. I firmly believe that. I just remember we often kid around how you brought championship level play to Kansas
right.
City when you came from St. Louis because of the timing. As soon as you landed. The Missouri's winning division titles. Sporting Kansas City's winning the MLS. The Chiefs are in the playoffs every year with Andy Reid. The Royals are on the eve of their 14 and 15 seasons. But I assure you, Vahe, that before you got here, it was not a happy time in Kansas City land and in sports. And it did. I can remember doing a story sometime in maybe 04, 05, 06 about Kansas City as Loserville, USA, and this was in the throes of the Royals losing 100 games every year, and the Chiefs always, getting the 49ers leftover quarterback, never getting out of getting past a round in the playoffs, and the city was about to lose the Big 12 tournament because it didn't have a new arena. So there was absolutely a time when the sports self-esteem in this town was pretty low.
You reminded me of being at a game with you. I think it was 2013, a Royals game. Maybe it was 2014 before they really took the turn, right? But it was one of those two seasons, and the Astros hit like 4 home runs in 5 batters or something like that. And I remember you just sort of saying the Royals just never have anything to counter anything like that. It never happens here. Why is that?
Yeah, why does this happen in this sport, but it never happens here?
Never here. So I remember that, and I remember very vividly being at the Chiefs-Colts playoff game. That's the first playoff game. I actually had covered some Chiefs playoff games when I was at the Post-Dispatch, but the first time here, and I'm like, I don't get what this, defeatism is here. Like, they're up 38-10 against the Colts. It seems like things can change. And then, we all know, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. I was maybe more shocked than anybody just because I was kind of like on this sort of open-minded high horse. Like,
yeah,
wow, I mean, so what? The past doesn't have anything to do with this. And then you really start, even in that brief time being here, you start feeling that tug.
Seeing a little bit, don't you? You do.
And I think we evaluated something like this. The Loserville thing, as you put it, from that 2006 thing, it had about peaked by 2013 if you really wanted to look at it. I mean, 28 years since the Royals have been in the playoffs, 29 years till 2014. And I didn't know this when I arrived, but I mean, it had been more than 2 decades since the Chiefs had won a playoff game. That's a pretty tough combo to beat. Obviously, there are some 1-2 punches out there that are pretty potent, but wow. And that is totally different in the last 7 or 8 years.
No doubt about
Especially the last 3, right? I mean, the Chiefs still occupy that perch.
And because those who have lived through those times and went to clubhouses and locker rooms and just got to know the people and the players through that time. Part of me thinks, this can't last. I mean, this is the gods are smiling on Kansas City sports now, but it can't last. And and so I think, boy, is Kansas City, is the market big enough to keep Patrick Mahomes happy and in ways that we think a superstar needs to be happy?
Yeah.
A Kevin Durant needed to get out of Oklahoma City to go to Golden State. Others have always gone to the Lakers for that sort of thing. And will this be enough for Patrick Mahomes? Well, it just seems like in the 3 years, every move he's made and everything he said indicates that he's happy here and signing a long-term contract, investing in a hometown team, getting up voter registration. The way he's planted his roots here makes me believe that this is where he wants to be. And it may be just right. Maybe it's the right fit for him.
It seems like that. And look, it's a little bit of a, transformational, transformative, whatever the right word is, twist on everything that really did take. I hate to use the perfect storm cliche, but it really sort of fits. I mean, what if Andy Reid's not here? There is something. There's the synergistic, just energy between these two that's hard to replicate, and absolutely, he's got to be part of Patrick's affection for being here.
I think so too. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure he does love the city, but I mean, it starts with the job, and so you got all those things together that make it just a completely different experience for him than it might have been otherwise. I think that's a great point, though, that you're making. I mean, naturally, the market size and the rough history, recent history put together makes you think, well,
we're not a coastal city. We're not a sexy place.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that I do think it's instructive that he grew up in Texas and not in California or Florida or New York, and I think it's also instructive that he had experiences in we go back to it again, major league clubhouses and those things. So he's seen what big time-ness looks like.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't need to live in New York or LA for that to appeal to him.
No, and I think, look, I mean, we're children of the '60s. I mean, we can picture the sort of the Batman set of toys he might have, the Patmobile, the Pat plane. I mean, he's probably got whatever he needs to do to go. He can be anywhere he wants in 3 hours.
Absolutely.
And
then come home to an adoring city.
Yeah.
Tell you what, everybody else has had a pretty rough 2020. Patrick Mahomes has had a pretty good 2020.
He has had a pretty good 2020. But, think about this, too. In a parallel universe of some sort, the pandemic struck or shut everything down in mid-January. And, the Chiefs didn't get to play in the Super Bowl. I mean, think about it.
Tell me, I have absolutely thought about that. What if this all happened a month earlier, or 6 weeks earlier?
I mean,
and right in the middle of the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
Had to shut it down like they did the NCAA tournament.
And as you noted, a week before the Super Bowl and the days before the Super Bowl, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif was asked about it and was quite cognizant of the seriousness of virus. I mean,
maybe the only person in the room who was that day.
So, I think that's another reason the Kansas City sports fan can feel a little bit like things have turned here. It's like, for a long time you wanted to figure out what to curse over why things couldn't happen
Right.
or whether there was a curse. And now this.
All right, Vahe. Hey, we're going to take a break, and we're going to conclude our conversation with Vahe. And when we come back, we're going to hear from Chiefs rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who met with the media last week. All right, Vahe. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Club announced today that Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs quarterback, is in the ownership group now. I know this is not your parlay for sure, but have you haven't got a chance to meet him yet, probably, with all the different things were happening when you got to town?
No, but and I know his family history in the game. I know he's a fan. So the feeling's mutual. I'm a fan of him. I don't know if anybody's ever watched him on the football field that's not a fan of what he's done, and watch him as an ambassador for the community. He's just done so many things right. It's going to be good to hopefully get a chance to meet him at some point. But happy for him and the ownership group.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
So, really, most importantly, the first thing that we just wanted to get down was just simply, work on little things of timing. And that was the biggest thing. And just get comfortable with, even having, play-ups and passes and everything else as far as just time, just getting comfortable with standing next to Pat and everything else is pretty much just what we were pretty much just working on. Other than that, coming in and pretty much just trying to dot my I's and cross my T's and do the right thing as far as just stay on the right path, and whatever I'm asked to do, I'm gonna do it.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Clyde. I was curious, as this process has gone on, you've had a really unique experience with the rookie not really being able to get in person. How much are you looking forward to this? And then when it comes to Andy Reid and the breadth of all he asks running backs to do, how are you handling taking in the playbook as maybe compared to LSU?
I'm just really happy to be here. This is my happy place. I've been doing this. I'm only been on the earth for 21 years. I've been playing football since I was 5. So this is what I do. And I can't wait. Everything, the setup, everything about everything here is just perfect for me. And I can't wait. The playbook, it was, as far as not having to do school and everything else, the playbook, I feel like it's easy. I've had, offensive coordinators, multiple offenses I had to learn year in, year out. So, this is nothing new. Just learning a new offense and then adjusting to the players around me.
Let's go to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Clyde, I appreciate the time. I'm curious what it will look like off the field with you, kind of the rules and regulations we're seeing now is that there could be fines possibly for going out and kind of excusing the protocols. Would it be difficult for you to spend, 3 or 4 months protocol at home when you got all this newfound NFL success?
Oh no, not at all. You can literally ask anybody. In college, I probably went out 5 times. I can count on one hand how many times I went out. So I'm not a party guy. I stay at home. I chill, and then ultimately I'm usually just by myself. If I'm doing anything, I'm probably just hunting or fishing.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam. Adam, you with us?
Yeah, sorry. Clyde, just wanted to talk to you about your level of concern for your personal safety through this time, and what can you explain a little bit where you are with all that?
right now, I'm absolutely comfortable. I probably say I took over 10 COVID-19 tests. All came back negative. The way everything is displayed here and the way everything is set up here, I feel absolutely safe. With my mom being a nurse and pretty much running her own veterans home back at home, and dealing with COVID-19 and everything else, I ran everything by her, how everything was set up. And I mean, if she's absolutely comfortable with it, being a first responder and someone who's on the front line during this pandemic, I can be comfortable with it. So I'm completely comfortable, and I'm just ready to get to work.
Let's go to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what's going on, Clyde? Over the past few months, we've all learned a little bit more about ourselves. I heard Todd Gurley say that he's never worked out so hard in his life. I'm just wondering what you've learned about yourself over this past few months in this times of uncertainty.
Being able to press that pause button and slow everything down for somebody, that was went on this 15-0 run and then won a national championship, and immediately I was right back training and then to the combine and the draft and everything, and then everything was just a whirlwind. So being able to just pause, stop, and being able to focus on one, mental health, and just, two, my body, just getting everything back straight and in tune to ultimately do what I love.
All right, guys, looks like we've got 4 hands up left. We'll go right down the line. Let's go Harold. Go ahead, Harold.
All right, I hope you're doing well. My question to you is, you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but without the preseason games, what's your level of concern that you can kind of get in sync with this offense, with as much moving parts that Andy Reid has, that you can get it done in the time that you have the acclimation period, and then when you get onto the field to the regular season to be ready to go?
I feel absolutely comfortable. Being able to – we did installs before everybody had the online installs, and I was able to run routes and do things from our playbook beforehand. So coming in, ultimately, my thing is just to learn. I have a lot of guys that's vets in the room and guys who've been here that I can absolutely learn from and pick their brain. So I have that at my disposal, and I'm just here to be a team player.
Let's go to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Clyde, the question that I have for you is simple. Your mom is in the industry, the health industry, my mom as well. What message would you give to fans, those who, let's just say, that's on the other side that doesn't take this virus serious, right now, because obviously people are going back and forth about wearing a mask, and we know about the agreement. A lot of teams can't have fans in the stands, but what would your message be to fans out there who are against wearing a mask?
Well, for me, it hits home. My mom, she actually had COVID, and then my little sister, she has muscular dystrophy. So me wearing a mask and keeping everything just in tune and keeping everybody safe around. I mean, she was born with a lot of difficult, a real difficult situation, and ultimately, if she gets it, it'll pretty much be fatal. So for me, it's personal. Wear a mask is something that you do when you just go outside and interact with people. And staying 6 feet apart is the main key. So wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and ultimately, man, we should be able to knock this curve down. And I mean, everybody wants to be in the stands on a Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. So let's just make it happen. Just wear a mask. As simple as that.
I think BJ Kissel had a follow-up question, so I'm going to let him jump. Go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, Clyde, we spoke about a month ago about your sister, and I just want to follow up on that because you're getting ready to start your NFL career and just what kind of inspiration she's been for you, and some of the stories that you shared with me regarding, when she was younger, you kind of looking out for her and having to play a, emergency, doctor at different times. Just can you speak to that and what kind of motivation she's been for you?
Well, the biggest thing is she hasn't even been able to pretty much get out here to even see, just whatever's going on. Just because, I mean, the nervousness of her coming out here and possibly contracting COVID, just because, you have people around that can't simply just wear a mask or just do the simple things. She hasn't seen anything yet. So ultimately, it's hitting home. So ultimately, I'm just ready to get all this rolling.
That will do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Randy Mason, Savannah Smith, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Also, a special thank you today to Kathy Liu and Leah Becerra. Those two talented journalists helped get SportsBeat KC off the ground 1 year ago today. Simply, the show would not have happened without them. Thank you both. Hey, links to stories that Vahe Gregorian and I discussed today can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer. It still stands and still a good one. $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage, and that includes the Sports Extra with the e-edition. There are 46 additional pages of national sports coverage today. Well, here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole bit. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage. The details are at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Thursday with another episode.